Hey, I was doing a little research this morning, and I noticed that there are 47 teams right now that have not played a game yet, and one of them, Tennessee's in the top 25. Do you consider yourself fortunate to have five in already, considering all these games that have been canceled?
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, I do. And I think Josh deserves just a world of credit. I mean, he tracked this deal. He like the Richmond game. I mean, he was on top of everybody who was going to need a game if something fell through, and he's he just did a terrific job.
and also too to go out to South Dakota and play three and get three at one site puts you kind of a leg up, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, but it was a struggle. I mean, when we played South Dakota State, that was our fourth scout for that
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
I mean, it was people were coming and going like crazy, and they did a great job of keeping it going. And so I think they deserve a lot of credit. But I think Josh is a guy who deserves a ton of credit because we wouldn't have had a non-conference schedule if it wasn't for him.
Last thing here for me on this, small sample size with the team you're playing tomorrow. They played just one game. You really don't know much about them at all, do you?
No, not very much.
Yeah.
We'll go to Kevin Kinder.
Coach, you mentioned you're obviously unhappy with your screen defense and pick and roll defense in the first few games. Mentioned you changed a couple things against Georgetown. What were those changes? What were you happy with? And is that a path you continue on now?
Well, I got to figure out what they're going to call and what they're not going to call. I think that's the biggest thing. I thought what we did early was really good, and then as they continue to change their pick and roll situation, we didn't do what we couldn't do. Just the things that we set out to do. So there's a couple of things we can do to make it better.
Is that just like keeping technique things, like keeping hands down, moving feet, better positioning?
We got under. We got under fine. I mean, we got under, and what we wanted them to do is make them shoot over top of us, and we got under and did a pretty good job. And then when they started rolling, basically into us, then it got a little different, and then that's when we turned them loose. But I'm not sure what you do about that.
Justin Jackson.
Coach, I'm just kind of wondering, I mean, you guys have played a really good schedule. I think your strength of schedule is like number 12, I think, right now or something like that, but might be better. Just kind of wondering, you've played these tough games and, now you come back home and you're getting this Robert Morris game in. How do you get across to your guys that, this isn't necessarily a breather, I guess, or I'm sure maybe some of them might be thinking that maybe, or.
Well, Justin, I would hope that all the work that they've put in to get to this point, that they would be excited about playing anybody. There's like we just heard, there's 47, I think John said, teams that haven't even played a game. So I think we ought to feel fortunate that we're playing anybody. And it's it's obviously it's not Pitt, it's not Duquesne, but it's a school nearby that we do have some history with Robert Morris. So I think our guys just want to play somebody other than themselves.
Yeah.
Cody Nesper.
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering, is it tough to kind of game plan for a team that only has one game so far, whereas you've put 5 games on film already?
Well, we played a very good South Dakota State team and we didn't have anything other than the year before. and that really that's what we did with the majority of what we played at South Dakota. Is you look at some of the games that they played the year before, and we did that. We're going to do that with Robert Morris as well, and we do have some a little bit of tape from the one game that they did play. So we'll be fine. We just, I think it's good. It's good preparation. You play in a tournament and you don't know who's going to win, who's going to lose. So it's tough to. Now you're scouting two teams and they're looking at two different teams, and you kind of get confused a little bit. I think the players get confused, not the coaches. But.
Michael Sussman.
Coach, after the win on Sunday, you brought up how beating a Big East team on the road was always something that was never taken for granted in West Virginia's days in the Big East. What do you remember about some of those tough road games back in the day, and how does a pretty loaded Big 12 this year compare to the old Big East?
Well, I think the biggest difference is travel. I mean, we got on a plane and we landed, an hour or less every game that we went to. And now I think, it's been documented. We travel more miles than any team in the country. So I think that's the biggest thing. And you don't have the rivalry. I mean, I think we have a pretty good rivalry going with some of those schools, but it's not like the Big East where their people could jump in the car and drive and get here, and our people could get in the car and drive and go there. I think our people have done a great job of kind of adopting Kansas City as a place for the tournament. But I mean, in all fairness and being honest, it's not Madison Square Garden. So, I think the Big East, just because of proximity more than anything else, proximity, and I think history. We were playing those people back when I was here in the 70s and played them before that. So, I think we have a much longer history with the people in the Big East than what we do with people in the Big 12.
Ryan Pritt.
Hey, Bob, speaking of travel, that's something you won't have to do this time around for the first time all year. I know you were talking last week about, just how different it's going to be with no fans in there. How much different are you anticipating that being, and does it kind of temper how much you and the guys are looking forward to playing at home?
Well, Ryan, I tell you what's really is kind of like jumps out at you. They got the cardboard cutouts in there, and 4 of them are Jay Jacobs. Having 4 Jay Jacobs in the stands is, that's rough. I mean, we got a critic in every row now with those cutouts. I don't know, man. It's kind of like practice, honestly. You can hear the sneakers squeaking, and you can hear everything that the opposing coach tries to tell his guys, and they can hear what I'm telling our guys. So it's more like a scrimmage than it is a game. The feel of it, anyway.
Back to John.
I got 2 more here. Number one is tomorrow is much about you guys doing what you need to do, and also maybe forcing yourself to play some guys maybe a little bit more than you have in the other 5 games to some degree.
Well, John, again, I would hope that our guys, we're looking at, a couple of weeks ago or so, where we didn't know if we were going to play any games.
Yeah.
So, I would think that they would be excited about playing anybody, no matter who it is. And being able to play at home, even though we're not going to have fans there, their families can come. And the guys that we have that have family close enough, I'm sure this will be the first opportunity for them to see those guys play in person.
And I know you scoff at this, but the infamous depth perception in the Coliseum. No fans. You guys are obviously used to it because you practice. Is that going to be anything at all for the other people to worry about?
You know, John, what was hard was playing outside when the wind was blowing. You know, there's not much of that going on in the Coliseum.
It's a little drafty in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's only if they open that door over there. You know, if they open that door where you come down in or go up in or up out, but it gets a little breezy. But other than that,
Mess keeps it closed. He says he gets too cold.
well, Bubba used to open it, so.
Darren Zaslow.
Coach, just your general assessment through 5 games. Do you like where this team is at, and have they improved at the speed, I guess, that you thought that they would be at?
I think we've got a long ways to go in certain areas. I think we've gotten better in some areas, but in other areas, I don't think we've improved as much as what I would like to see us improve. And I think particularly at the defensive end, we haven't shot it very well, but we've had pretty good shots. It's not, you know, we've had, you know, pretty good shots. We've had, you know, block charge situations that didn't go our way. You know, we've had some, you know, some other things that just didn't go our way, you know, and that happens a lot. It's a hard game to officiate. But I think the biggest thing is defensively, we're not near as good as we had hoped we would be.
Justin Jackson.
Coach, kind of going off what you were talking about earlier with the teams not playing. Obviously, you guys have done very well navigating through this pandemic, keeping everyone healthy, keeping everyone, you know, eligible to play. Have you had any like calls from other schools or coaches, you know, saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing? That's right." You know, anything like that?
No, you know, Justin, I think, you know, watching TV, listen to commentators, listen to what commentators are saying that coaches have said, or listen to the coach say it themselves. I think it comes down to I mean, to a degree, I think it comes down to the discipline that your guys have of not being around people that they don't know, not being around crowds. Not, you know, I think our guys have done a really good job of kind of isolating themselves with themselves, and so you know, I think our guys deserve a lot of credit for. And I think, honestly, I think our medical staff deserves a lot of credit. I think they've done a really good job. Randy Metter's been fantastic, you know, throughout this whole thing. So yeah, I think it comes down to doing the right thing, and quite honestly, sometimes even that's not good enough. But you know, it gives you a heck of a lot better chance.
Mike Casazza.
Hey, Bob, how are you?
I'm well, Mike.
Good. I have 2 for you. One is just kind of piggybacking off of that. You have a gap from the 22nd to the 29th, which obviously overlaps Christmas. And I don't know how the protocol works where if someone leaves campus, what they have to do. Can you fill me in on what the rules or expectations are for if kids do go back for 23, 24, 25 and do the holidays and then come back and got to play a game on the 29th?
No, I'm sure I'll be able to do that later. Mike, I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. We've got 2 games here this week, and that's been my focus. You know, I've talked to people who aren't going to let their guys go home. Actually, I was on a call yesterday, and one of the coaches in our league brought it up, how many guys are going to let their guys go home, and I think the overwhelming response was they're going to let them go home. But as far as what the health department says has to happen or doesn't happen, am I still on? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I don't know. I haven't really concerned myself with that at this point in time.
Secondly, your personnel hasn't changed from last year too much, but you're playing with the 3 guards more often, and I'm assuming that's just confidence and comfortability with you there. But is it that? And then what do you like, and what does that give you that you are using it as much as you are?
Well, I mean, quite honestly, Taz and Sean have played really, really well in practice, really well. But Emmett's played well too. I mean, Emmett finished the game, the Georgetown game, in a great way for us. So, I think it just kind of depends on who you think is going to give you the most that particular time. Because I think we got a lot of guys that are really, I don't want to say equal, but awfully close to being equal when it comes to what they can do for us on the floor.
All right, last one here for me, I promise. I know when you go through and you work on things, you fix the things that bug you the most. How much have you had a chance to dig in deeper to your offense sets, things like that, things that you can think you could do to maybe free people up, get some stuff that you're looking for, maybe some better looks?
Well, John, I think I dig into the things that hurt us the most. I think we've had really good shots. I mean, we just have not made shots on as consistent a basis as we thought going into this season that we would. But we're used to it. I mean, that's a good thing. We're used to missing shots. So, we have guys who can get second shots for us. And
You have adjusted in the regard that first game you jacked up 32 threes, and you haven't done that in the 4 games since.
Well, we didn't make it. I mean, if we had gone 25 for 32, we'd probably still be hoisting them. But we didn't, and we're just trying to. And again, and I know I keep saying this, and I know some people, oh well, that's an excuse or this and that. We didn't have a close scrimmage. We didn't have an exhibition, and the beauty of those is I can play guys that haven't played that much, in these 5 games. They haven't played a lot or hardly at all. Where in an exhibition or a close scrimmage, you can play those guys a lot and see, really what they're going to give you. I mean, we've got some guys that we haven't been in a game yet, and so it's hard to tell how they're going to react when they do get in the game.
Cody Nesper.
So you were talking about improvements you've made since last year. One of the ones that kind of sticks out is free throw shooting. I was just wondering if you are – I know you say you're never happy, but are you pleased with where the free throw shooting's been this year?
No, not really. I thought we would shoot it better. I think we have guys capable of shooting in the mid to high 80s, and we don't have anybody doing that. I think the biggest change is Derek and Oscar have gotten a little better. Aside from Derek missing some in the Gonzaga game and Oscar missing some in the Georgetown game, but I think those are the guys who get to the foul line the most. Derek gets to the foul line a lot. Oscar gets to the foul line not quite as much as Derek, but he gets to the foul line more than anybody else does.
Okay, if no one else has any further questions, I see 2 more left. Skylar Callahan.
Hey, Bob. Jalen made his first shot the other day. I know he had talked about working on a shot over the summer and stuff. Was it just mainly mechanics with him early on in the season, or was it just trying to get him to see that ball go through the net for the first time?
No, I think some of it was shot preparation. You pick up some bad habits in the summertime. and I think his shot preparation wasn't as good. But I mean, I went into the season thinking that JB was going to be one of the guys who could make shots on a consistent basis for us, and I don't. That hasn't changed, even though he's missed some shots. I mean, I think he can be a big time shot maker for us, and he's 6'7", where he could conceivably get us more second shots as well.
Justin Jackson.
Coach, just kind of wondering here with Taz. Obviously, he's been pretty consistent with the shot. Are you curious at all to see what he would do as a starter, or do you like that bringing him off the bench kind of role? I'm kind of thinking of like what Jay Sean Page gave you a few years ago, that kind of role. Is he better in that kind of role, or could you see him maybe developing into a starter?
Well, one, Justin, obviously I'm not near as curious as you are. I think Taz is comfortable coming off the bench. I think Taz would be comfortable starting. I think it's a matter of kind of, we're trying to get everybody going, because I mean we haven't played a game where we had everybody going. I think once Sean starts making shots, for example, and Taz is making shots, and I think I'm really happy with what Emmett has given us. Deuce had one bad game. It happened to be the Gonzaga game, but Deuce has shot the ball pretty well. I thought Jordan was really good in the Georgetown game, and I mean he goes from making shots that game. I mean, he had a game where he was 0 for 4, and they weren't close. We've just got to hopefully get to where we're all more consistent. And I mean, obviously we're not going to go 10 for 10 every night, but where if we could all shoot 50% or better, I mean, we got a heck of a team then, and we're going to be able to guard. I mean, they're getting better. We've got to make a couple subtle changes in some things, but I mean, I think we're capable of having multiple guys shoot 50% or better.